Good morning, Ms. Howard. You may begin.
Thank you, Marlo. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. For those who are returning with us, welcome back. And if we have any new companies, you're in for a treat. I am Michelle Howard, the Director of the Small Business Programs Office. I bring you greetings from our General Manager, Mr. Randy Clark, and our Senior Vice President and Chief Procurement Officer, Ms. Fifi Magosi. So I want to thank you for participating today in WMATA Small Business Programs Office Outreach, Scaling a Small Business with Customer Experience by our own Mr. Roger Nicholas. This presentation is in collaboration with our partners at the DC Small Business Development Center Network at Howard University. At WMATA, your participation is key. Please remember that. And we encourage all small businesses to get certified with WMATA. We have 5 small business programs that you can be certified in. We have your disadvantage and small business enterprise programs on our federal side. And on our local side, we have your minority, small, and micro business programs, which are our non-federal programs. So I'm asking that you please check out our website, learn more about our programs, reach out to us for certification. We look forward to hearing from you. Please know that WMATA is definitely open for business, and we want you to be a part of our contracting opportunities. We are your metro, the way forward. Make sure that you put all questions in the chat and remember to fill out our surveys that will be sent to you after the presentation. These surveys help us to plan programs, events that can be benefit or supportive to your business development and growth. So again, thank you for attending. I hope that you enjoy your session. I want to introduce my friend, my colleague, Mr. Charles Mott from the DC Small Business Development Center at Howard University here in Washington, DC. He is currently the Associate Director there with both administrative and business counseling responsibilities. Charles has over 40 years in the defense and management consulting industries with large and small firms in management and team leader capacities. He also has over 30 years of experience and knowledge in small business management, in leadership, in management as a business owner, as an employee, a business counselor, and a consultant with small firms. He has a certificate in project management from the University of California Extension, Berkeley, and an MBA in new ventures and small business management from Cal State East Bay. So at this time, I want to bring on my good friend, my colleague, Mr. Charles Mott. So,
Michelle, thank you so much for that great intro. I appreciate you and I appreciate the collaboration we have with Metro. This series that we have collaborated on for the last few years has provided some great information to small business, and today is no exception to that. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our speaker today, Mr. Roger Nicholas. He's going to share some great information with you. I know because he's done that with the DCSBDC over the past couple years. So with that, I'm going to read a brief introduction on Roger so that you can understand the kind of information and kind of wisdom he's going to impart today. Roger Nicholas is a seasoned customer experience professional with over 25 years of experience in sales, business operations, and CX across diverse industries, including retail, financial services, and healthcare. He has a passion for helping businesses improve customer acquisition, revenue generation, cost management, and overall customer impact. Roger's expertise includes enhancing sales and leadership team performance using behavioral science, ultimately driving business growth. Roger leverages customer experience management and behavioral science to reduce hidden barriers that affect business growth, business development, and leadership for small to medium-sized businesses. His focus helping businesses surpass their revenue goals by attracting, retaining, and converting more customers. And of what I just went over, he's going to share with you today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Roger so he can do his thing. Roger?
Yes, thank you so much, Charles. I appreciate the introduction. Looking forward to this. Humbled to be here. Thank you so much, Ms. Howard. Thank you so much, Metro. Looking forward to serving. I believe that this is a cause and that we can actually change the world through small businesses. And so that's why I take this so seriously. So let's get right into things. We have a bit to get into. And I want to leave time for questions because people will have questions. Let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, we are, Roger.
Awesome, appreciate it. Thank you. All righty, so welcome to Scaling Your Business with Customer Experience. Just we mentioned already that you can write your questions in the chat. Just want to go over the agenda very quickly. We'll cover key takeaways you should get from today. Then we're going to look into what behavioral science has uncovered when it comes to humans and customers. Then we'll get an understanding of what customer experience is and what it isn't. Then I'll introduce, will help you understand the business impact of adopting customer experience. Then I'll introduce a new business compass, a way you should focus your business as small businesses or who are getting ready to scale. Then we're going to spend time understanding how customers make decisions, then understanding how to onboard with customer experience as the driver for onboarding, the things we should be measuring, or at least get comfortable measuring so we can have some type of predictive insight into what happens next for our business, and then how to embed customer experience into our business and some technology we should be familiar with. And then I'll share some free resources for the attendees, and then we'll open up for questions. All right, so I will be your captain for the next 40 minutes or so. So customer experience has generated a lot of excitement, ladies and gentlemen, for more than 3 decades, for the simple fact of its proven benefits. Its proven benefits include loyal customers, engaged employees, sustainable revenue growth, and competitive advantage. But just like in any other strategy, to fulfill that promise, business leaders like yourself must be intentional, must be proactive, and must be consistent. All right, so the takeaways from today include finding out that customer experience is a deliberate strategy. It's not hope. You'll find out the strategic impact of customer experience when you apply it and when you don't. You'll understand how data-driven insights enhances your predictive capability as a business owner. You'll then learn why your adaptability is tied to continuous improvement. And then also the importance of consistently tracking and measuring any actions you take, especially corrective actions. And then why you must embrace technology if you want to scale. All right, so here's what behavioral science has found. A psychologist who's also a Nobel Prize winning psychologist and his team identified something called the peak end rule in 1993. And it states that people form emotional connections based on the most intense moment that they have, whether it's good or bad, that's considered the peak, and then how that moment ends. And it's not really about the entire experience. They don't remember things that way and they don't connect that way. So here's how it works. A bad peak or negative ending could make an entire experience just feel incredibly disappointing. And conversely, a memorable peak and a positive ending can turn a very average experience into an exceptional one. And I'll give you an example that many of us can identify with. Let's say we're going on a date. We're going on a date with our spouse or our current partner, or maybe we're interviewing for permanent positions because some of us are interviewing for permanent positions, right? You know who you are, right? It's time to leave for the date. Everybody looks good. Everybody smells good. Nobody's breath is humming. Hair is properly coiffed. The bald head is glowing. The ride to the restaurant is cool. The music is nice. The vibe is right. You get to the restaurant. Your reservation is waiting. You get a great seat. The waiter comes up, greets you, engages you, gets your appetizers and drinks going. and you're sitting there in great conversation and you can feel the energy. If you're interviewing, you're like, yeah, the way this is going, they may get a second interview, right? And now the waiter comes back with your meal and the person across from you starts cursing out the waiter. You know what happens? All of a sudden, everything before that moment changes because that intense peak negative moment changes how you see the person in front of you all of a sudden. Let's say waiter corrects a mistake, you finish your meal, you get your check, and now your check has you double billed for things that you ordered, and it even has a few things you didn't order on your check. What are you thinking now? How do you feel about the experience now? When you leave the restaurant, what you walk away thinking about is, I can't believe so-and-so cursed that person out because they brought no lemons. Or I can't believe they tried to swindle us out of money. Is that a restaurant thing? Is that a waiter? I don't know if I trust them anymore. So now all they've gotten out of you is one transaction because you're considering never going back. I'm sure many of you are shaking your heads right now because that's how it goes. Our customers react and respond the same way to our businesses. So why the peak end rule matters to your business is that businesses must be intentional about designing high impact moments, emotional peaks, and they also must ensure that there's a positive final interaction, strong closing impression, because together combined, those actions drive what I call customer loyalty, expression, and advocacy. Because customers really don't care how much about what you said or did. They really more care about how you make them feel in the moment, and that's what determines what they do with their money. And let me define what customer loyalty, expression, and advocacy really means. It means buying beyond the first transaction, staying around long enough so that you can acquire additional products to solve additional problems that you have, and being so happy with the experience that you've had and with the products that you've used that you're willing to advocate, tell others about it, and even refer others to do business with that company. That's what customer loyalty, expression, and advocacy describes. So let's get an understanding of what customer experience is and what it isn't. Now, customer experience is a strategic, proactive, and very data-driven approach aimed at enhancing every interaction your customer has with your business during their entire relationship with you. The goal is to know your customer so granularly that you're able to anticipate their needs and put that into your process so that it encourages customers who buy more beyond the first transaction, stay longer so they can acquire more products if they need it, and then tell their friends, refer other customers to you. Now, it's important to understand that customer experience is not the same as customer service. As a matter of fact, this is a very common mistake. Now, while customer service is incredibly important, but it is a triggered event that when customers are seeking some type of assistance, it represents just one aspect of customer experience. So to give you some context, think of our solar system, the sun, the planets, the moons, the stars. Customer experience is our solar system, and customer service is Pluto. So while Pluto is important for the balance of our solar system, it is not the solar system. That's the relationship between customer experience and customer service. It's important that you understand that, because as business owners who are looking to scale, that determines the strategy you take. And as we go forward, you'll understand why relying on customer service alone does not do enough to grow your business. So customer experience and customer service differ in 5 main areas, in 5 main ways: in scope, in the time involved or the timing involved, in how it addresses emotions, in how it addresses the entire business cross-functionally, and in what it measures. So in terms of scope, customer experience is decidedly more comprehensive because it looks at how the customer thinks and feels about the problems they have to solve, all the way through how they make the decision to shortlist options, to how they go about owning the solution and what they expect from owning the solution, how they get their needs met when something goes wrong or they need some type of customer support, and then how comfortable that experience makes them feel to want to buy more, buy again beyond the first transaction, and then even go tell other people. Customer service focuses on a specific moment. It is not as comprehensive, right? In terms of timing, customer experience is proactively designed and it's continuous. It's never ending. So with customer experience, we're looking to anticipate customers' needs. So we need to understand the customer before we actually engage the customer. That's why it's proactive. Customer service is reactive to the moment. When the customer calls or engages us, that's when customer service kicks in. If they never contact us, they never feel the way we deliver customer service. When it comes to emotions, customer experience is about fostering and creating emotional connection. Because we now understand through the science that customer loyalty cannot happen without customer some type of emotional connection. When it comes to emotions, customer service manages emotions. Example, when I call with interest in your business or in your product, your job in that moment is to escalate my excitement and my urgency to get that product from you right now. Conversely, if I'm calling to complain or seeking help with your product, your job in that moment is to de-escalate my disappointment or discouragement and try to make sure you keep my business as much as possible if I haven't taken it away already. Different focus. Customer experience, because of the nature of the strategy, affects and involves all departments across a company, from front-facing people all the way through to leadership and ownership. Whereas customer service is a support department specifically for customers most of 90% of the time. And then what it measures, customer experience measures all the peak moments and all the ending moments in every phase that a customer uses to make a decision to stay with your company or do business with you. It measures that entire journey relationship, whereas customer service measures transactions. So for instance, did the cashier say thank you when they gave you my change? Was it easy to navigate your website? Was checkout easy? Did I find my product okay? Did the product work as expected? Those are transactional measurements that don't change the experience. And I'll amplify that even further. Let's say you go to your favorite grocery store to get one of your favorite products. You get your product and the cashier says, thank you, gives you exact change, offers to sell you a bag or not sell you a bag. That's standard, that's customer service. But let's say they moved your favorite product to another aisle, so it takes extra time to find it. And when you come to the cashier, it's a longer line. So now you're waiting 15, 20 minutes to take care of this one transaction, a loaf of bread maybe. That changes how you feel about your place that you normally do business. And if that continues to happen 2 or 3 times, you're probably considering changing where you shop. That's how our customers operate at scale. And that's what customer experience helps us to identify and understand. So let's look at the impact of customer experience when you apply it or when you ignore it. Now, this is all based on research from the different companies cited here. Customer-centric companies are 60% more profitable versus those who are not. So it means that when we apply customer experience in our business, there's money in it for us. We tend to outpace and outdo our competition. That's important to you, yes? The average loyal customer is worth up to 10 times the value of their first purchase. Now, this dramatic pause is so that this marinates a little bit, because usually people are thinking one of 3 or 4 things. Hold on. How much am I getting currently from my average customer? Am I getting up to 10 times? Wait, he said loyal customers. What percentage of my customers are actually loyal? What does a loyal customer look like? How do I create loyal customers if I don't have enough? Those are all questions that customer experience helps you to answer. Let me go on. Now, here's what happens when you don't apply customer experience. Now, the research shows us that 96% of unhappy customers never file a complaint. Let me put that in another way. That means that 1 out of 26 people who have a problem with your business, out of the 26, only 1 comes to you and actually says something. That's why waiting for customers to complain, customer service, it's too late because you've lost too much business, because now you don't know the other 25, when they left, why they left, and how much money you would have lost as a result. You know, we've all probably grown up hearing that ignorance is bliss. In business, ignorance is absolute suicide. Don't ever let anybody convince you that ignorance is bliss. Okay? It gets a little worse when you don't apply customer experience, because dissatisfied customers will tell 9 to 15 people about their bad experience half the time. So if we go back to those 26 unhappy customers, 50% of them will tell 9 to 15 people. Now, there's good and bad news in this particular statistic, because when this research was done, this was done when most consumers did not own a smartphone. So up to 15 people found out bad news about your business if you didn't get it right. The bad news is that the majority of people now own a smartphone. So one faux pas that would really happen and affect maybe 2 or 3 people, maybe 25 people, could become something that mushrooms into 150 people or 1,000 people within 24 hours because of a smartphone. So if we wait to respond to those moments, there's so much we lose, in terms of understanding what to fix, understanding the financial impact of not fixing it. And then, of course, we don't know how much business we've lost because of how many customers we've lost because of the bad narrative. The final point I want to make that should get you kind of shifting and uncomfortable in your seats, because most people do, is that customers are 4 times more likely to defect and leave for your competition because of a bad experience, a bad peak moment, or a bad ending, versus the quality of the product or the price. Before the mid-90s, if you didn't have the best product, the best widget, and the best price, you couldn't compete. That was the differentiating factor. So all you had to do was fill your funnel with customers to buy, and then as they buy, go back to the funnel and bring more in to buy. But since the mid-90s, since the peak end rule research, and then things like customer experience coming up officially in 2003, and customers having significantly more options, the differentiator has become experience, how you make them feel, how you emotionally connect to them with your business. So you'll see that theme throughout. So let's look at how customers make decisions. Because if we don't understand this, you'll see as I speak, the different areas we can lose customers before we even get to meet them. Now, understanding the customer decision journey is about understanding the psychological and emotional processes that drive customer decisions and why they make the decisions they make. Now, remember we talked about the peak end rule. What we feel at peak moments and end moments determines what we do with our wallets, how we express our loyalty. And the customer decision-making process is a circular process and has several main phases that we need to understand. We need to understand the awareness phase. That's when, as a customer, I become aware of a problem that I'm willing to pay for. What am I feeling in the moment? What emotions am I trying to avoid? What emotions am I trying to feel, to engage? But that's a totally different experience to the consideration phase, which is phase 2, where I'm looking at the myriad of options. I may have a problem that has 15 different options at a high end and low end, some extravagant, some basic. So then I want to go to phase 3, evaluate my options, to shortlist those that are most appropriate for me. So I might come up with 3 or 4 options that I like amongst the 15. How I think in the awareness phase, the consideration phase, and the evaluation phase are 3 different ways of looking at information, right? So if, for instance, I know what my problem is, but what can I find you to consider you in phase 2? Do you understand me well enough to be shortlisted for phase 3? And then, is your brand promise strong enough to make the cut that I select you for phase 4, which is the selection or purchase phase? This is where I exchange my money for your brand promise. And I have a different quality of angst and concern in this moment because now I have skin in the game. If you don't understand how I feel and what I expect when I have skin in the game, which changes and is very different from all the previous phases, and you just treat me like everybody else or like nothing's changed, this is where a lot of businesses lose people, right? So then there's the post-purchase phase. Now I own your product. I'm still comparably anxious because now I need to make sure that what I invested is worth it. Am I getting value? Is it fixing my problem? Is it fixing my problem in the way I'd like it to fix it? And is it fixing it fast enough? All those are things happening in the post-purchase phase. And if something goes wrong, who's responsible for fixing it and how fast are they going to address it? All of those are part of the post-purchase phase. And then there's the loyalty and advocacy phase. Were my previous phases so that I really loved how this business solved my problem? And if they can solve other problems that I have, I'm willing to buy again. Remember, we talked about customer experience being about creating loyal customers who buy more, stay longer, and tell their friends. Will you get me to buy more beyond the first transaction? Therefore, I'm staying longer. And then will you get me to promote your business as great? You know what? This is a great solution provider. As a matter of fact, the average loyal customer is willing to tell 6 to 9 people that they should do business with your business if you ask them. So are you there? Have you earned my referrals? If we don't understand how our customers think, feel, and act in each phase, our business is constantly chasing a ghost, and we don't know why we're losing them, where we're losing them, and how much money we're losing. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you feel the urgency and importance of that. So let's talk about thinking customer success. Thinking customer success is the concept of understanding how to onboard a customer. It's a business approach aimed at ensuring that customers achieve their desired outcomes while using a company's product or service. And the focus is proactively guiding customers to realize value from their investment. Ultimately, that impacts how much they stay satisfied, how loyal they stay, and how they promote your business, and of course, your revenue. So a concept you need to understand when onboarding customers, and let me give this caveat. If any of you have been online paying attention to job boards like LinkedIn and Indeed or Yahoo Jobs and all those types of places, one of the fastest growing roles being sought out to be filled is in customer success. It's actually a division under the umbrella of customer experience. It's a department. Business has finally understood that we can't just get prospects and convert them to customers and then go back to getting more prospects. We have to nurture the relationship with a customer and make sure they see value for their exchanging their money for our brand promise, because it's in that moment we earn their loyalty expression, get them to stay longer, and we earn their referrals. So there's a concept called time to value, and time to value, or TTV, is a crucial metric that helps us measure the time it takes for a customer to realize value or benefit from their product or service that they bought from us. So if we don't understand how a customer defines success and what success looks like and how fast they want that success, that's where we lose them quietly. Without they won't renew their software license with us. They won't come back for an additional purchase, a repeat buy, or an upsell or a cross sell, and they absolutely won't be referring us. All right. The quicker the customer experiences desired outcomes, the more tied to emotionally connected they are to your business, and improved loyalty and satisfaction, and of course revenue. So to do all of these things requires that you understand that all the things that are critically important to your customer at each phase of their decision-making journey. I hope that makes sense and you didn't miss the urgency behind that. All right. So there's something I want to touch on here that I, for some reason, let's see here. Okay. All right. So let's look at some metrics that you should get familiar with. That these are customer experience based metrics. And the purpose of metrics is not just to measure out of measuring sake. It's about measuring things that matter and measuring things that give you some type of leading indicator as to the health of your business. So one you should get familiar with is the customer effort score. Customer effort score measures how much effort a customer perceives they have to make in order to get things done, especially when things go wrong with your business, in your business. All right, so the thing is, the research bears out that the more effort a customer feels they have to make or perceives that they have to make, is the less likely they are to come back, or the less likely they are to buy again, and absolutely the less likely they are to refer. The next metric you want to get familiar with is customer retention rate. This is another key one for understanding the health of your business. It measures how good your business is at keeping customers that it converts. There's a concept that Bain & Company, one of the leading consulting companies in the world, some research they did on what happens with customer retention. Called hidden defection. And it turns out that most companies lose anywhere between 20 to 30% of their customers every year. That's hidden defection without the business knowing when, why, or how to fix the problem. And up to 50% of their customers every 5 years. So think about where your business is right now. Could you afford to unknowingly be losing 20 to 30% of your customers before you even meet them? I'm thinking you're saying absolutely not. Another metric to get familiar with is customer conversion rates. When we're smaller, it's important for us to understand the rate at which we're able to convert prospects into customers. So for instance, I may have 3 meetings, and out of 3 meetings, I make 1 customer, which makes my conversion rate 33%. Or 100 people might visit my website or click on my website, and out of 100, we might convert 10 into customers. Or 50 walk into the store and we convert 8 into customers. That's our conversion rate, right? We need to understand that because it also gives us an idea of what percentage of our customers are buying our product, but it also helps us understand if we're in the right market, because sometimes low conversion rates may speak to being in the wrong market. So for instance, if you were in the business of Afro combs and you showed up on my social media page selling Afro combs, you've missed me for one reason or another, right? You've missed me. I'm not the right market. So your conversion rate is going to be too low. Or it could be that I don't understand the customer well enough to understand their pain points and how they would like a solution delivered to them. And so because that wasn't conveyed in my proposal, maybe that's why my conversion rates are low. It forces you to go back and retool the things that you're doing for your business. Then there's the customer referral rate, one of my favorites, because this is where small businesses can really outdo their bigger competitors and really differentiate themselves and form a competitive advantage. Customer referral rate measures the rate at which, or the percentage of customers that you have in your business who actually refer you to other buying or paying customers. It also lets you know how many people that group refers to. So for instance, you may find out that 20% of your database refers customers to you, and the average amount of referrals is 2 people. Your business strategy can then be, okay, let's see what we need to understand, why these people are referring, what they need to refer more, and make that a campaign or a strategy to increase the percentage of people who are referring. So you want to take it from 20 to 25%, or you want to take it from just 2 people to 4 people. Most companies want referrals, but the majority of companies don't ask for referrals. So one of your strategies could be, you know what? I found out that 20% of my customers are open to referring, but I've never really asked them. So how about this? How about I create something infrastructural, something in my process that makes referring easy for them? It could be a click and share on social media. It could be a special offer that they can, if they bring a customer, they get access to another solution from you at a discounted rate. There are a myriad of different ways you can do that. You can get very creative with customer experience. That's what makes it so sexy, and as I like to say, CXy, is that it can be customized to whatever our business is into and whatever the size of our business. We also want to understand upselling and cross-selling rates, because again, this is about business growth and scaling. We want to understand what percentage of our customers own more than one product, who are open to buying more than one product or solving more than one problem with my business. That percentage tells us, okay, my average customer might qualify for 4 products, but they own one, but there's a 25% of them who own 3 products, even though they're eligible for 4. Why do they own the 4? Why do they own the 3? And what makes them, how do they behave differently than those who only own 1? Now a strategy becomes, let's look at how we can increase our upselling and cross-selling rates. Let's see if we can get our average customer, instead of owning 1 product, to owning 1.5 products. You'll be surprised what that means to you in revenue in the end, because I'm sure you'll have more average customers than you have customers who are loyal and already open to upsells and cross-sells. So you can literally scale your business by intentionally managing upsells and cross-sell parts of your business, referral parts of your business, conversion rate parts of your business, and the retention rate parts of your business. Now, the last one, the Net Promoter segmentation, is not a metric, but it's more of a strategy. And as business owners, you will have an appreciation for this, and should. The Net Promoter segmentation strategy includes 3 different things. The Net Promoter Score, launched by Harvard and Bain & Company, and Bain & Company and Satmetrics back in 2003. Customer lifetime value, which I'll explain what that is, and customer acquisition cost, the average cost of what it takes for us to get a customer. Now, let me go in reverse order. Customer lifetime value. Remember, we talked about how the average loyal customer is worth up to 10 times the value of their first purchase. That's the name of the metric. It's customer lifetime value. Customer lifetime value measures the value we can expect to earn from each customer during their lifetime of relationship. So it goes beyond just their first purchase. It goes into how long they stay with us. How many products beyond the first product do they own? And how can we increase that as we go? When we focus on customer lifetime value as our business compass, it allows us to instead of focusing on prospects to convert into customers, then to go back to prospects to customers and just being transactional, it focuses our business strategy on building relationships, forming emotional connections, right? So that's customer lifetime value. NPS, or Net Promoter Score. Net Promoter Score measures loyalty, customer loyalty, and gives you an idea of their willingness to refer your business. So what Net Promoter segmentation does is, using Net Promoter Score, it puts customers into buckets. My loyal, passionate customers who are willing to refer me, and they tend to spend 2 to 2.5 times more than your average customers. Your unhappy customers, who they label as detractors, because they detract or subtract up to 2 times as much as your average customer, because they are so upset with you that they want their money back, and they're telling a bunch of folks not to do business with you. negative narrative. And then there's the middle customer who is kind of on the fence. They qualify for 4 or 5 products. They only own one, but they do own 1 or 2 other products from your competitors. Net Promoter segmentation allows you to not only understand how the percentages break out for your customer base, but who is driving the revenue for your business. Because when we put in the customer lifetime value number for our loyal customers, our on the fence customers, and our unhappy customers, we can figure out, you know what? These customers who say they're loyal, they own more products, they spend 2.5 times more than the average customer, and they say they're willing to refer, but we're not actually getting referrals from them. I can use my limited resources to start a loyalty campaign to increase the personalization amongst that group of passionate, loyal customers who need something to help them refer people more. There you have a strategy to grow your business. And you're doing that with insight, with data. You're not guessing, you're not hoping, you're using predictive insights to help you understand how that customer is going to behave, because you know the more loyal customers you have who are willing to refer is the faster you can scale your business without spending too much on customer acquisition costs. All right? If the largest percentage of your database are customers who are on the fence, that's your biggest risk for hidden defection. Because anytime there's a sale or promotion, a competitor could come take your customer away from you. So you need to understand what that group thinks, how they think, why aren't they loyal customers, and what would it take to make them loyal customers. That's its own strategy. And if that's the largest percentage of your group, that becomes priority A1 that you need to solve quickly, because they can disappear at any time, and all of a sudden you can go from having 100 customers to 50 because you didn't pay attention to the 50 who are on the fence. If you find out that amongst your unhappy customers, there are a significant portion who are high customer value but unhappy customers, you don't want the people who are spending the most money that are unhappy to continue to be unhappy. You want to understand, why are they unhappy? So you can fix that and anticipate that for the next go around. And then once you fixed it, you want to broadcast the fact that, you know what, we so want to improve how our customers experience our business, that we found out by asking our customers that we have this challenge, we weren't meeting this goal. So here's the action we took, and here's how we expect to solve the problem. Please hold us to that standard. Here's what happens in those cases. For those customers who reported that they had a problem, they're happy that you took notice of their concerns. For those who didn't report, they now find out, yeah, I did have that problem too. Maybe I'll give them another try. And for those who haven't become customers yet, they're thinking, wow, they really pay attention to their customers. They actually listened and did something about it. That's a company I want to do business with. That's the empowerment that you can get from customer experience. I hope I could talk about this all day. I get really excited about this. So if understand what I mean here. Now, here's a little tidbit you'd appreciate as small business owners who may ultimately be looking for investors or VCs or partners. Investors love this level of predictive insight, because now you can specifically target why you need their investment to grow their business. We've noticed that our retention numbers are low because of X, Y, and Z. To fix X, Y, and Z, we need this kind of funding to fix that problem. That's why we need your investment. Or we're not converting enough people because our process is too slow. Or we're not getting enough referrals and we're trying to set up a referral program or loyalty program that allows for that. We found this tool that can do that, that fits with our market. That's why we need your investment for that. That's how investors see their ROI for their investment and the fact that they can trust you with their investment. All right. So now, embedding customer experience into your business before we wrap up for questions. First of all, the speed of the leader is the speed of the team. So if a leader doesn't demonstrate customer-focused leadership that's visible, those that follow them don't take it seriously. Think about it when we were on our jobs. If our boss asked us for a report in January, but never asked us for the report for all the way through June, I'm sure by May we have not done that report. Probably earlier for some of us, right? It's the same thing in our business. If we're not talking about customer experience, demanding customer-centric things, helping the team understand why a customer is worth up to 10 times the value of their first transaction. They don't execute, they don't follow, they don't act on that information. So lead and demonstrate your customer centricity. Use data. You can't guess anymore. It's the cost to your business without using data to understand your customer is too great. Don't risk it. And use that insight to be intentional about designing the experience. Identify each phase in their decision-making process and identify, okay, here's what I can turn into a peak moment, and here's how I can make the ending sweet or positive. And do that intentionally. Empower the front line. And by empower the front line, we mean those who are touching your customers the most or the fastest need to be empowered with the insights about why a customer is worth up to 10 times the value of the first transaction. Don't just try to get them to buy the cell phone. Get them to buy the cell phone. Help them understand sometimes cell phones fall, so you probably need a protective case. And if you're getting a particular phone, you might need a stylus. And you might need a warranty for a free upgrade. And you might need a water protector because you like to go to the beach all the time. And you may want to keep your phone on your person while you're in the pool or at the beach. Those are add-on sales. But if we don't understand that information about our customer, we can't empower our frontline to get customers to provide us 10 times the value of their first transaction. So empower them. And empower them also with decision-making authority. Limited, but give them some. Because when I have to tell the customer, well, let me check with my manager before I answer this question, that's frustration for a customer. Give them a little bit of power where they can solve problems quicker because that endears customers to your business. Then measure the things that matter. Measure the leading and lagging indicators. Lagging indicators are things that tell you what happened. Leading indicators give you insight into what is about to happen. Most companies spend a lot of time on quarterly sales and cost numbers or annual cost sales and cost numbers or revenue numbers. That's not enough because by the time you find out that you didn't hit your sales goal, 3 months or a year has passed, and that's lost customers, lost reputation, and probably limited ability to recover what's lost. That's why you measure in smaller increments with customer experience so you can have some predictive insights, some leading indicators as to how things are trending so you can take corrective action along the way so you have a better chance of hitting your goals. Engage the back office. Engaging the back office means everybody who's not touching the customer needs to be aware of why we're doing what we're doing. That's considered alignment. One of the weaknesses of businesses is doing things in silos. One hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing. Finance doesn't know what marketing is doing. HR doesn't know what sales is doing. That's where challenges happen in business. Customer experience forces the business to understand that the average loyal customer is worth up to 10 times the value of their first transaction. So we're all aligned. So frontline knows how to handle them and how to build relationship. Middle management knows how to coach frontline. Senior management knows how to lead middle management. And finance, risk management knows how to design policies that align with getting customers to buy more, stay longer, and tell their friends. And then finally, you want to use feedback to drive continuous improvement. It's okay to measure, get surveys, and understand what customers are saying or what social media is saying or what your business is saying. But if we don't never take action on that, it leaves us nowhere. All we have is what happened. We don't have a way of understanding the gaps, taking corrective action, and then measuring to see if our corrective action is taking us in the direction we wanted our business to go. I hope you see the urgency in this, and I hope you see the empowerment in this. All right, so let's look at a few things here. Some technology worth embracing. Now, not everybody's into technology, but I want to highly encourage you to get comfortable with technology as small business owners, because it's really, instead of hiring people, you can hire strategically, you can hire technology to accelerate and scale your business. So one that you should be familiar with all small business owners should be familiar with is what I call CRMs, or customer relationship management software. CRMs help us keep every piece of information we have about our customers or potential customers in one place. It can be accessed through our cell phones, tablets, laptops, or PCs, right? So we can take that insight with us, contact information, how all the pain points they have, their preferences, what they bought, how much they're still eligible for, what their time to value might be. All of those things you have in this one place. Also, customer relationship management software offers you things like email and marketing campaigns, integration with other things to do surveys and interact with social media. So you can do a post, and if somebody engages your post on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, you can see when your customer post something or when they respond to a post within your CRM. It's a very strong and comprehensive tool for small business owners that then gives them the ability to do analysis to figure out, okay, I had 100, I talked with 100 people this year. 50 said yes to meetings, 25 actually had meetings. I ended up with 10 customers. What are the similarities amongst the 10 customers? You can figure that out from analyzing the insights from your CRM. For the people who had meetings but said no, what was common amongst them? What was their reason for saying no? That can help me improve for next year. For those who I approached and didn't keep their appointments, what was common with them? What was the reason they kept their appointment? I can ask my CRM to follow up with those people that I didn't get to meet on a particular cadence. You can automate all of that. So your outreach, your research, all of that stuff can be done in customer relationship management software. Here are some free options. Some are more user-friendly than others. Some are better suited to different types of business models than others. I leave you to do your own due diligence. Then there's voice of customer technology, or VOC tech. Now, VOC tech is usually associated with medium-sized companies all the way up to enterprises, but it's important that you understand it because customer experience, by applying customer experience to your business, the things that you need to understand form the grassroots infrastructure that a voice of customer technology is going to do. Voice of customer technology does what the CRM does and does all the measurement and analysis for you. It measures how the customer's decision journey. It measures their emotions, and it encapsulates and gives you insights on where the gaps are in your business, in your customer's decision journey, or in your customer's experience with you, how to fix it. Does a SWOT analysis. So that's why it's usually associated with larger companies, because it costs money to do that. So we have a software that's ideally suited for medium-sized to enterprise businesses. But these free versions give you insight on Net Promoter Score, like SurveyMonkey, Delighted, Typeform, and Zonka, or analyzing the customer journey. So it gives you the type of infrastructure you need so that when you're ready to scale and you're ready to adopt a voice of customer technology, you already have the information to pull from. And then you want to get comfortable with capturing feedback and asking customers about how they feel and what they expect. And so here you want to, there are 3 buckets of feedback that give you a 360-degree view of what a customer really wants and how to meet their needs. There's direct feedback that you can get from surveys and focus groups if you have that kind of money and other types of customer research. There's indirect feedback that comes from testimonials and reviews and call center conversations and social media. You know, what they're saying about you in social media that they won't tell you directly. There's ways to what they call monitor social media or social media listening. Like and then there's inferred feedback. That's the feedback of what they've actually done while interacting with your business. When you're able to aggregate those 3 buckets of insight, you're able to see what your customer says and does it match with what they do. That's what customer experience is about. So these are different free tools or free versions of tools that allow you to do social media listening or analyze and understand how your customers feel about your processes. All right. So let's get into some free resources. All right. So, I want to give some backdrop to this. Now, when I met Charles, who introduced me, I was the director of customer experience at IAM-CX. We are headquartered in the U.S. Virgin Islands, serving the Caribbean and the U.S. medium-sized companies to large companies with customer experience training and voice of customer technology and leadership development using behavioral science. But what we kept finding is that there's a huge ignored group, that's solopreneur all the way up to medium-sized business, small business owners, who weren't getting educated or coached or having access to some of the same tools that are affordable, but still serve their needs. And so we formed, well, it seeded the idea of me writing a book. And that book created the idea of the Customer Experience Lighthouse. And I'm going to be the CEO of that. So that's just to give you some background here. So the free resources we offer, the IAM-CX podcast, where I do interviews with customer experience experts, customer experience authors, CFOs, CEOs, and business leaders about how they use customer experience to solve business problems. You can access that for free on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. Just type in hashtag IAM-CX podcast, and you can have access to that. I also do on LinkedIn a newsletter called Now That's CXy. And in that newsletter, I spend time discussing those concepts that aren't talked about very much, like understanding emotions and emotional connection, or time to value. Those concepts that tend to get drowned out by the basics of customer experience. All right. So you can also you follow me on LinkedIn, Roger Nicholas, or follow that newsletter. Feel free to take advantage of a free customer experience assessment, where in a 15 to 30-minute conversation, I'll ask a few questions and help you identify where the gaps are that are customer experience related that can affect your entire business and how you scale. All right, so feel free to scan the QR code and take advantage of that. All right, and then another free resource I want to introduce to you is an ebook. When you scan the QR code, I'll give you access to that, and you can download the PDF and save it and read at your leisure. But it goes into explaining what customer experience is, some mistakes to avoid with customer experience, and a simple framework, routes, how to approach and apply customer experience in your business. It even gives some examples of how you can do different things as a small business to help you grow your business using customer experience. Of course, we offer training, CX Lighthouse training for small business owners as well as business leadership teams for those small businesses that are larger and have teams. And this is the name of our book. It's called The CX Lighthouse, Navigating Business Growth with Customer Experience by R.A. Nicholas, myself, and Dr. Solomon Akinlua. Our book should be in stores and on Amazon by the end of April, but we just started talking about it, so you're actually the second to hear about it in 3 days. So consider yourself very privileged. So feel free to get on the wait list now, so you can pre-order. You can send us an email at the cxlighthousebook@gmail.com, or just scan the QR code for that. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. I hope you are excited. I hope I made you uncomfortable. But I hope I gave you hope as well as ways you can scale your business using customer experience. I'm looking forward to a whole bunch of questions. I love difficult questions too. So let's go.
Okay, Roger, I see 2 questions in the chat.
Okay.
This question is from Optum Engineering and Technology. My question for Roger is, when do you know that a company you are overdoing the customer outreach versus not doing enough, or when you are encroaching too much into the space and the customer is becoming somewhat annoyed with your
Okay.
continuous outreach, maybe for feedback?
That's a great question, and that's a great problem for larger companies. I appreciate that question. So ideally, we should not be surveying all of our customers all of the time. So that's the legitimacy of that question, because there is something such as feedback or survey burnout, right? Now, one of the reasons we've incorporated behavioral science into leadership development is there are some personal leadership barriers that make us think that by asking for feedback, that it's imposing on people, that there's actually science, 40 years of science behind this concept I'm talking about, right? So, so sometimes it's our own personal impression that it's intrusive or pushy to ask for feedback, when in truth and in fact, the customer doesn't perceive it that way. So the question is about, when do we know it's too much? We know that when we understand the customer and they tell us it's too much. That's when we know. We understand the customer enough and they tell us it's too much. So by that I mean, if I don't know what percentage of my customers are loyal to me and why they're loyal to me, I need to keep asking questions of my customers who buy the most. But I'm focusing a particular kind of question to those customers. So I'm not surveying all customers with the same approach. For unhappy customers, people who have left us, got their money back, I want to approach them with a different type of outreach in a different way. Customer experience will also help you understand there's a different timing or cadence as to how you reach out to different types of customers. When a customer's upset, you have 48 hours, 24 hours if you have something that's high tech, okay? Because they're looking for a response and a solution and resolution within 24 to 48 hours. So you wanna have something systemic to help you identify those concerns. That's feedback. Remember, that's feedback as well. So there's never too much feedback in that scenario. You need to know it so you can fix the problem, so you can not have that challenge and lose customers for that reason ever again, if at all. Or if it's customers who are happy with your product, you need to understand why, because then that becomes part of your marketing messaging. So if you don't know that information, keep asking questions. But you have to be pointed with the groups. Not everybody gets the same survey, and not everybody gets the same survey at the same time. You need to target, you need to be more targeted. That's what will solve that challenge for you. And to overcome the concern that you're being too pushy. Because if they haven't told you you're being too pushy, if you haven't asked your customer, you might ask your customer about how was our onboarding process? But the next question you ask isn't about onboarding. You're asking about has the product met your needs to solve X? That's more specific. That reduces the burnout because you're only targeting specific groups of customers to ask those types of questions. I hope that answers the question. You said there were more questions, Marlo?
There are. Please
Wonderful.
re-explain inferred feedback. Thank you.
Yes, great question. So I mentioned during the presentation that there are 3 buckets of feedback. Direct feedback, taking the form of surveys, that customers directly tell you, this is how I feel, or this is what I want from your business. Indirect feedback, which is what they don't tell you, but they're telling someone else. They're telling the customer service agent at the call center, social media, or reviews and testimonials on a website, or like Amazon reviews and so on and so forth. And then inferred feedback is the feedback that you get from measuring what customers actually do while interacting with your business. So I have gone to your website, I visit your website, that's interacting with your business. some of you may be, and those of you who are not in tech may not be aware of this, but there's technology that's built into websites now that can measure where your eyes focus and spend the time the longest, where you click and how often you click, how much time you spend in checkout, what you leave in your inbox, on your basket. It measures all those things to give you insight. That's a form of inferred feedback. Or I own your product and let's say you sell shaving solutions. I'm a chocolate ball man who now makes the choice to shave his head. Now nature will change that choice for me and force me to not have to shave, but that's another conversation. But let's say you are shaving solutions and you find out that you've made a shaving solution for men, and you find out that I'm not only shaving my stash and my little goatee and my dome, I'm also doing my armpits. But because of the nature of your blade or the nature of your solution, it leaves irritation. You can take that either of two ways. This is what inferred feedback will tell you. This is how customers are using your solution, and it usually can uncover additional solutions that you can provide to them. So now you find out, Chocolate Ball Man is using not only for his head and for his mustache and his beard and his goatee, he's also using it for underarm. Maybe he's a swimmer, right? And so he's looking to be streamlined or whatever, less friction, that kind of thing. Well, maybe that's now an opportunity for you to design something that is ideal for armpits. And since we know that our partners in Christ, as for those of us who are believers, women shave under their arms a lot. Now you've now created a product that can go for both men and women. So it can be an opportunity. So by following inferred feedback, how customers act with your products, how they use your products, how they interact with your business, that tells you a story of what you need to fix, what opportunities exist, and what gaps may exist in your process or in your product going forward. So by having those three buckets together, it allows you to hear what they say, see what they do, marry the two to make sure that you offer them the best possible experience and a great product at a great price.
Thank you, Roger.
You're welcome.
Can you go back to slide 16?
Okay. Okay, tell me what, let's see here. I'm not seeing clearly which slide that is, so hang on. Okay, there we go. Slide 16 is this.
So there was no message along with it. I guess they just wanted to get a screenshot of it.
Oh, okay. Oh, to get the QR code. Yes. 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 This is the book that will be published by the end of April. So feel free to pre-order or get on our waiting list at the CX Lighthouse book at gmail.com, or you can scan the QR code and we'll, put you in that. We'll engage you, say thank you, and keep you in that list and let you know, be one of the first to hear about it. I did an event in Baltimore this weekend as an expert panelist for the Startup Business Change Your Life program. And we had a lot of excitement and a lot of great questions like this there. We had just under 40 entrepreneurs having the same type of conversation, but asking more pointed questions as a panel discussion. So that was a lot of fun, but they enjoyed taking advantage of this as well. So feel free. Like I said, you're the second to hear about this. This is newly minted sharing. Any other questions there, Marlo?
Sure. Our attendees would like you to know that this has been an outstanding presentation and they thank you.
Yay.
The first question that was asked by Optimum Engineering, they
Mhm.
wanted you to know that you explained it well and thank you. So the
Thank you very
next
much, Optimum
question,
Engineering.
the next question is, why do you think a lot of companies do not have good customer service strategies?
Ooh, that's a wonderful question. So it's manifold. There are many reasons. One is the fault of the customer experience industry, but one is, of course, owned by just human averages. And so let me start with the industry first. Customer experience has been around over 30 years. As a matter of fact, the companies that were the guinea pigs for this are the ones you now revere as best companies. Amazon, Southwest, well, it used to be Southwest Airlines, Emirates Airways, all the big companies that, TD Bank, those companies that seem to always be relevant and growing. Back then, the industry didn't do the greatest job of communicating how to adopt and apply customer experience. They tried to tell you, the business owner, how to speak customer experience language as opposed to speaking business language. It took the industry 20 years to figure out, I don't care, as a CEO, I don't care about no NPS, man. I just want to know who's loyal, what do they do, and what do they need from me to stay loyal and buy more. So the industry is now transitioned to that. Also, the responsibility of the industry, well, not the industry, but just history, is that customer experience was something that was available to the largest companies because it was expensive. Bain and Company were leading cutting edge there. McKinsey, Deloitte, they were doing research that cost only enterprise companies could afford. The software was expensive and there was limited access to smaller companies. Fast forward 15 years where technology has now become more available and more affordable through software as a service or SaaS. Now, more companies and a lot of the technology tools that I mentioned here now offer free versions that smaller businesses can take advantage of so they can get better with customer experience. Another reason why customer service has been an issue is that the average human is relatively stubborn. Some of us like to wait to see what somebody else is doing because we're not comfortable being I need to frame this very carefully because I don't want people coming away feeling offended, but the truth can also be packaged in bubble wrap, right? Sometimes we shy away from things that are new because they are uncomfortable and it requires some type of a learning curve. That is a big driver as to why businesses have not adopted the things they need to improve their customer experience. So I know the question was about customer service, but customer service is fed by the insights from customer experience. So like the example I gave, if you say thank you as a cashier and give me exact change, but I waited an hour in line, my experience was horrible, but your service was perfect. That's why you can get customer satisfaction scores that are high, but your customer retention is decreasing. Your customer conversion is decreasing. You're not getting as many referrals, if any. You can have high customer satisfaction scores because they measure service in a moment, but they don't measure how I feel about the experience and if I'm going to come back, buy again, or refer people. So those are the myriad of reasons why customer service still struggles to this day. Another reason that's very important and can't be ignored is that the customer's needs are always changing. And I can prove it to you in seconds. If any of you have ever shopped with Amazon, you are now impatient for anything that can't be delivered in less than 2 days. Yes, that's true. Because they have now set a standard that very few people can match. They've used customer experience to differentiate themselves in such a way that most people can't compete and deliver things within a day with Prime. Right? Just for a little bit more in your subscription a month, you get access to Prime, which gives you more peaks, more rewards, and quicker delivery. Right? So customers' needs are constantly changing. So if you are still doing business today the way you did business back in 2019, your business will be the next Kodak, Blockbuster, or Kmart. Sorry to be so harsh, but it is. And the reason for that is there's a 5-letter word that changed our lives forever, at least for the next 20 years, called COVID, that changed the way we do business. Supermarkets and groceries have been delivering food for more than a decade, but they don't do the business in deliveries that they do now. They didn't do the business that they did then that they do now, because expectations have changed. With more people ordering food for delivery, it's more cost effective to offer it as a service, or you can just share the service with a Grubhub or a DoorDash, and voila, a new solution for a new expectation. That's one of the biggest reasons why customer service and customer experience has not kept up with customer expectations. Because if we're not paying attention to the customer granularly enough, we cannot anticipate the change in their needs and make the pivot that's appropriate for our business model. So that's the explanation as to why customer service isn't the way you want it in 2025. Any other questions there, Marlo? Well, these have been really good.
Roger. I think
Wonderful.
you already answered the question I'm about to say. You must have saw it already. What are some examples of the software you mentioned that can be measured where and how a customer spends their time on their website?
Oh, okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I did mention that already. If the person wants me to answer it again, they can, show by a raise of hand, and Marlo will let me know. Is there another question in the meantime, Marlo?
Yes. What is the best way to handle social media criticism about your products from non-customers?
Ooh, love it. Great question, and very apropos and timely, because we now understand that we need to be paying attention to social media. Okay, so even though the question is simple, there's some layers to it. So the question, if I'm not mistaken, is how should we handle bad press from non-customers? First of all, we want to treat everyone like a future customer. So that's the first thing. We have to reframe how we look at people. Once we look at everyone as a future customer, then people sharing their concerns, we want to, first of all, we want to be aware of what's being said on social media about us. If we're not using something like Hootsuite, this free thing that I mentioned here, hopefully you can see my cursor around it, pointing at Hootsuite, Hootsuite, I believe this is, yeah. Hootsuite is one of those softwares that you can integrate with your CRM and your email to follow your brand all over social media, so that when somebody mentions it or talks about it, you can know when it happens. Part of the challenge with handling negative comments about our business is that we don't know when it happened, when it was first mentioned, and how long it's been sitting out there marinating. Remember, we talked about an unhappy customer is liable to tell more than 15 people about their bad experience with a business. So if I say that today, but nobody addresses my concern, hey, Mr. Chocolate Ball Man, I saw that you had a challenge with our shaving solution. Let me reach out to me at this address or at this number, so that we can help correct that, because that's not something we are used to having, and that's something we'd like to address as soon as possible, especially if there are any other customers with the same challenge. If you're able to identify that issue quicker and respond to the genesis of the negative narrative quicker, two things happen. The person who's launched the initial narrative will understand that you're paying attention, their concerns matter, and that you're willing to do something about it in a timely fashion. The other customers who haven't expressed a concern, remember 1 out of 26 actually complain, they know, yes, this company is paying attention and they're willing to do something about it. And you know what? I have the same problem. Let me call that contact information if I have access to that same narrative. And then the non-customers also know that you take customer feedback seriously and you're willing and able to do something about it, and you're willing to be vulnerable enough to show that. One of the weaknesses many businesses have is, well, I haven't heard anything bad, so there's nothing to worry about. That's when it's time to panic in business. Hey, that's the time to panic in a relationship. Truth, right? If you're not hearing a complaint, you need to start asking some questions of your baby. Baby, you sure you're okay? Same thing for customers. You want to find out what's happening as soon as possible. So it's the non-addressing of issues fast enough that inflames and amplifies non-customers' contributions. And the timing of where we are in culture right now is we have a very strong cancel culture where people just get on the bandwagon of bashing things that they have no interaction with or no information on. That one you can't fight that right now. You're only empowered. The only person you owe a response, and I did use the word owe, you're indebted to them because they've given you their money for your brand promise, and your brand promise fell short. You want to correct that. So you want to show that you want to pay attention to what's being said in social media. So if you're not aware of it, you can't fix it. So it's your action, and the speed of your action is what corrects the non-customer feedback. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you, Roger.
Before your next question, Marlo, I'll add, when the person in private shares what the issue was, and you then do the next piece of vigilance and investigate amongst your other customers who own the same product, have you seen so and so? Or whatever, and you find out that it's a bigger problem, then you come up with a solution. You don't announce the solution yet. You solve it for the customer who's complaining. And once you've mastered the solution, you want to announce the solution to everyone, your customers and non-customers. Hey, we found out that we weren't delivering things fast enough for our customers. So here's what we did. We now have a partnership with DoorDash and Grubhub. And now instead of delivering in 4 days, we can deliver in 2 or less. You can hold us by being open and transparent about the action you took. You've now set a standard of expectation for your customer who can now know, oh, wow, they do listen to people, and look, they actually did something about it. That changes the narrative anybody who is not a customer comes with after an action like that is taken. Sorry, Marlo, go ahead.
Roger, that's all the questions that one more just popped up.
Okay.
What is the best way to keep track of customer service matrix?
Customer service matrix. I would need more clarity on what that means to you, to the person asking the question. Because one of the I'm trying to avoid us using customer service interchangeably with customer experience. So what does customer service matrix mean to the person asking the question?
Roger, let's give them a moment to respond.
Sure.
Well, this is Michelle. They haven't responded yet, so they might
Okay.
be confusing the customer service with customer experience, which is two separate entities.
Right. But also, Marlon, Michelle, a customer service matrix could mean something different to a SaaS company versus a retailer versus a doctor's office. So that's why I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to understand in a tailored way exactly what it means to them. So then my answer can add value to them. So that's why I'm seeking the clarity.
So
they
Roger,
came
we did get a
go ahead, Mom.
response.
Go ahead.
In regards to tracking customer service responses, how can one track and maintain better customer service?
I'm sorry, repeat that question for me, Marlo.
In regards to tracking customer service responses, How
Uh-huh.
can one track and maintain better customer service?
In relation to tracking customer responses, how can one maintain good customer service? Okay. I'm not sure I quite understand the question, but I'm going to give this response based on the understanding I think I have. So apologies if I missed it. I'm understanding that to mean in tracking how customers respond to our outreach for feedback, how can we maintain customer service? The nature of the way we present the request for feedback is really critical. It's like if there's a new initiative on our job that affects, let's say it affects all the people on the phones, all the customer service representatives, and you launch it without informing them of why you're launching it and how it's going to help them in their execution, you've now built in resistance, right? So I'm likening that to your question in that if the way I ask for feedback will determine the level of feedback that I get. The level of customer engagement that we have with our business also tells us the level of emotional connection people have to our business. There are two types of people who usually engage surveys. They're either the really upset customers, which means the feedback is usually mostly negative, and we have to be okay with getting feedback, whether it's honest or not. We'll filter through that to figure it out. But we have to be okay with getting that kind of feedback because it's an opportunity to innovate and improve something. And then the other person who is excited about sharing feedback when asked is the person who's very loyal. Oh man, I loved that presentation from that chocolate ball dude with the funny accent. Man, it was amazing. I learned so much. That's a really loyal response in feedback that you can then dive into, and they're always willing to give you more and more insights. So the goal of the feedback is to improve how you deliver your solution to them or to whoever you're asking. So when it's packaged or presented as that, a silver platter of, hey, look, my business, we just want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all of our customers of every kind and every size as best as we can. So we just have a brief questionnaire that will take you less than 3 minutes to do, because I want to say that, again, you want to introduce your request for feedback in a particular way. The length of the time invested to give the feedback should be short. You want to do things in small bites. 3-minute surveys are ideal. Anything beyond 3 minutes becomes too long. So if you're doing short surveys to different groups at different times a year, so maybe in your first quarter, you do 3 surveys, one for your loyal fans, one for your fans, your customers on the fence, one for your unhappy people. And then whatever insights you glean from that, you apply and measure for the second quarter. And then you measure something else in the second quarter, something else in the third, something else in the fourth. That's how you build the understanding that you are concerned about customers. When you promote and publish your feedback and the action you're going to take, that lets those who didn't take part in your surveys know that the reason we asked this is so that we can actually do something about it. Because part of the reason people hesitate in doing things like surveys or giving feedback is they feel like nothing's ever going to be done because they never hear anything back. It's like applying for a job and never hearing back anything back after sending in the application from the person who you applied to. That it's the same thing for a customer. Most people don't believe they'll hear from the owner or hear from the business, so they don't answer or they don't give feedback, or they give strong negative feedback, looking to see if there's going to be a response. So the way to exhibit or demonstrate good customer service while asking for feedback is in the way you present it, is in the length of time needed to to provide it, and in what you can even manage the expectations in the way you ask for it. We're asking for it for this reason, to solve this problem or to be better at X. And what we would like to do is, when we gather enough information, we would then want to take action on fixing the problem in the best way possible that meets the needs of our customers. And we will publish that so you can hold us accountable to it. When you approach seeking feedback like that, all people are more than willing to share information with you. And you can demonstrate customer service while seeking customer feedback.
Thank you, Roger. The questions just keep pouring in, man.
Wonderful,
Um,
good.
There is a question: which of the tech tools you listed can be easily integrated into a website?
Oh, good question. Now, all of these mentioned integrate very easily. That's why I specifically mentioned them. Customer relationship management software integrates perfectly with your website very seamlessly. Most of them do that very seamlessly. And when I say most, I mean like 90% of them, because that's actually one of the basic requirements of a CRM, is to integrate with the company's website, so that any interaction on your website can then be tracked in your CRM. SurveyMonkey, Delighted, Typeform, and Zunker all integrate extremely well with your website as well. Those are the ones that can give you some voice of customer insights. And then the ones that measure or monitor social media feedback, like Hootsuite, Google Forms, and Google My Business, those also integrate well with your website. So those, yeah, you absolutely don't want to do things that don't integrate well with your website. It becomes too many silos, and too much, I have to go here and then move a spreadsheet here, and that's counterintuitive. It's to streamline and improve experiences for both the business, the customer, and those within the business serving the customer.
Okay, this will be the last question. Roger, did you put your contact information in the chat?
I did not put it in the chat, but I will show it here on screen so that people can find it. My mouse will just behave.
Okay, because there's still one more question.
Okay.
The person who asked the question about the examples of the software says that they still need a recap of the examples of the software that can measure where and how a customer spends their time on your website. That's why I asked that you put your contact information, because maybe that person can reach out to you independent.
Okay. So in terms of software that track website, okay, that one I'm not versed in. I'm just aware of it, right? But in terms of things that can track things like your social media or social media in general, and customer reviews and that type of thing, those are the ones I mentioned before. But yes, please shoot me an email. I will go find it for you, because
Okay.
I want you
Can
to
you
have a
put
great
that
experience.
screen up again with your contact information?
Here it is. Can everyone see my picture with my name and email?
Yes, we can
Yes.
see it.
And then if not, you can simply use a QR code and do the same thing and get me that way as well.
Thank you, Roger. Turning it over back to our director, Michelle Howard.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Marlo. Well, Roger, let me tell you this, okay? You know, people drop nuggets here and there of good information or whatever. No, you came up in here and you sprinkled diamonds everywhere. You didn't drop nuggets. You sprinkled diamonds.
Thank
Oh
you.
my, I'm gonna tell you, look, I'm not a business owner, and I'm like, oh, I need to take some notes, because I might get a question like that, or I might have to call Roger back. I'm like, it was awesome. The customer experience versus the customer success, the whole, you know, when you was explaining about the time to value, you know, realizing value or benefit. And let me tell you, when you start talking about the key metrics in customer experience, I'm like, okay, that's another dynamic. Because people in business may not think about it in the way that it's broken down, about the efforts for retention rate, conversion. I mean, like, you know, that's like a whole nother class in itself, just trying to understand that. So I definitely want to say thank you. Thank you for gracing us today with this awesome information. I want to welcome you back, for future presentations, because I know there are more businesses out there that really need to not just hear this, but to understand it in a way that makes it beneficial, to their businesses. And I'm gonna tell you what it might sound small, but what I really like was when you said, I think you said, spin of the leader is the spin of the
Oh,
team.
the speed of the leader is the speed of the team.
Speed. Okay. That right there. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
No,
that speaks volumes, because that can be, look, that's another class that can actually be taught on what does that look like, for each leader and how they're running their business and how they want that to resonate to the team. So
that's
oh
where the
my gosh.
behavioral science part of what we do, that's where we incorporate that. And
Well, I'm gonna tell you.
That quote is actually from one of my favorite movies with Denzel Washington. Remember the Titans. The
Oh
speed
my
of the leader is the
gosh.
speed of the team. So if the
Oh
leader
my
doesn't
gosh.
demonstrate the type of things that you want in the team, you can't expect it from the team. That's where I got it from.
Well, excellent. I want to thank you for this. So
You're
everyone
welcome.
else who's still with us, thank you for attending today for the presentation. Thank you to Charles and Roger. And I have to thank my team, the Small Business Programs Office Certification and Outreach Team, Marlo and Michael, Liliette, Shanae, Hannah, and Heather. You guys rock all the time. Thank you so much for making all of this happen. Companies, I hope you were able to learn some important information to help your business grow, because like I said, it was diamonds sprinkled amongst us today. We look forward to seeing you at our next outreach. So make sure that you put this down for, March the 27th. We have our in-person, I'm going to say that again, in-person Meet the Prime. So I'm looking forward to you guys registering and showing up for that. Remember, certification is the key to participation, and we at WMATA look forward to your applications being submitted for our small business programs. I want to tell all of you, have a great rest of your day, rest of your week, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all next week. Thanks again, Roger. Thank you so much, Charles. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. God bless.